yeah, a nice gentle spine class. We've done that lots before, but who doesn't need work on their spine, right? So you do need a decent amount of stuff today. You need a lacrosse ball, or a tennis ball if that's all you have. You need a peanut or 2 lacrosse balls and a sock.
Got mine.
Okay. And then you need, I'm going to use this squishy yoga ball thing, but if you don't have anything that's about that size, you can use a bath towel.
So I have a bolster, will that work?
Yep, a bolster will work.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as it's not too wide. If it's about the width of like an outstretched hand is what's good for this exercise. Yeah, I think that'll be good.
Okay. I think I know what you use it for, and I do that too.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to start just by relaxing the top of the spine and the bottom of the spine. So grab your peanut or your 2 lacrosse balls and a sock. And then we're going to go ahead and lay on our backs. We're going to bring the peanut to the base of our neck and just go ahead and rest our head. We've done this plenty of times before. You're just going to let gravity do its thing and relax. So go ahead and do that. If there's anyone that's new to this exercise, I'm just going to come up close and show you where the lacrosse ball is going to go. Hopefully you can see me there. So you're going to be laying on your back with the double lacrosse ball right about there where the skull meets the top of the neck. You never want to put pressure directly in the center on the spine, so that's why you want 2 lacrosse balls so that there's a little gap in the middle for your spine. I like to bring my hands up and sort of hold the lacrosse ball in place so that it doesn't roll out of alignment. And yeah, you're just going to let gravity do its thing. You're going to let the pressure of your head push down onto those lacrosse balls. And it's going to feel like a nice self-release. I like to do this with my knees bent because it just takes a bit of the pressure and the slack off of the spine. But as long as you're comfortable, whatever works for you. And just try to relax into it. Take some nice big deep breaths. Close your eyes if you want. And as you get comfortable, feel free to explore a little bit, whether you come up a little higher onto the bottom of the skull, whether you let the lacrosse ball sink down a little bit more into the neck. You can even rotate and look one direction so that you're putting a little more pressure on one side or on the other. So just sort of play around with what feels good. It might be a bit tender in here, and that's okay. Just remember our rule of thumb is that it shouldn't ever be painful. We don't want to cross that line between uncomfortable and painful. So if you're making a funny face, if you're holding your breath, if you're clenching your fist, that's all a sign that it's too much and you need to find a way to back off a little. If that's the case, you can do this on sort of a soft or padded surface, like putting the towel underneath your head and underneath the lacrosse ball. That can help. So it might be tender and uncomfortable, but we never want it to get too much where it starts to feel like pain. The other thing to keep in mind is sometimes when you hit a really good spot, you can start to feel this elsewhere in your head. It might refer into your forehead or a temple. That's absolutely okay. It just tells you you're on a good trigger point. Nice big deep breaths. The goal of this is to let everything relax. How you feeling over there?
Good.
Take a few more nice big deep breaths, preferably through your nose. Both in through your nose and out through your nose. Good, and then when you're ready, you can pull the peanut or lacrosse balls out from underneath your head, and we're gonna swap, and we're gonna grab whatever you have, whether you have a squishy yoga ball like I have, whether you have the bolster. If you're using the towel, what you're gonna do is you're gonna fold it so it's about the width of your outstretched hand, like I said. So, into a bit of a rectangle. This is probably a little too wide. So fold it into a rectangle, a little bit like that, and it's going to go vertically along your spine so that your tailbone is resting on it. So we're going to start laying on our backs with our knees bent. You're going to lift your hips up really high up into the air, and you're going to scooch that ball or towel or bolster or whatever you have into that right spot, so it's right on your tailbone or your sacrum, it's called. So right in the center of your butt, you'll feel that bone that's in the center there. That's where it should be resting. And you're just going to relax onto it, and again, we're letting gravity do its thing. So if you're using something a little longer, like a towel or like the bolster, you don't want it to be going up into your low back. We want it to start at your tailbone, and then any extra length can go downwards. So we're just letting gravity do its thing. You should feel like gravity is sort of pressing down on these hip bones on the side and sort of creating some gapping or some space on either side of your tailbone. Should feel really nice, really relieving. And again, taking nice big deep breaths. You can think this time more so about some belly breaths. Some people don't feel much while doing this, and if it just feels sort of like a relaxing position, that's absolutely okay. Some people feel this more afterwards. So it's a little misleading. You don't always feel it during, but you can feel it afterwards. So just sort of trust that it's doing something good for you. Again, those nice big deep belly breaths. And you're breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. Your mouth should be closed in a perfect world if you can. Your molars should be slightly separated, and your tongue should be resting at the roof of your mouth. That should be a really nice, comfortable, closed mouth position for you. If you're not able to do that and you're feeling sort of stuffy today or something, that's fine if you need to have your mouth open. So again, try to keep those knees bent. We don't want them straight because that's going to be torquing on your low back a bit too much. Bent so that all the pressure is going nicely through the tailbone. Okay, let's take about 3 more nice, big, comfortable belly breaths. Good. And now whenever you're ready, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to lift your bum up really high, and then you're going to slide the ball or towel or whatever you have out from underneath you, and then you can rest back down. Sometimes when people do that, they feel a bit of a pop or a crack, so if that happened to you, don't be alarmed. It's totally normal. And you can sit on up. We have another guest joining us. Hello. She's on mute, but she's waving at us. Okay, so hopefully things are feeling relaxed at the top and the bottom of the spine. We're going to do a Jefferson curl now, so stand on up. You guys feeling it a little now that we've moved out of that position?
Feel looser.
Yeah. I always get a little bit of an ache after I do it, so that's why I say sometimes people feel it when they come out of it or for a couple minutes after. So that Jefferson curl that we know and love, standing, we're going to tuck our chin down and we're going to slowly curl one vertebrae at a time all the way down. Let your arms hang heavy. And you're going to curl down as far as you can comfortably. Sometimes our spines are so tight that you only can get, mid-thigh. If you can get lower, awesome. I'm not really concerned about how low you go, just the stretch you feel down the back of the neck and the spine. So once you get a really good stretch, you're then going to reverse it and slowly one vertebrae at a time, you're going to come back up. The last thing to come up is untucking the chin. And just at your own pace, nice and slowly, let's go through those. The most important thing is keep that chin tucked the whole way down, which makes it a lot harder and a lot more of a stretch. Are you guys getting a nice stretch from this?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, everyone do one more. Make it the best one yet. Nice and slow. Really tuck the chin. Push yourself to go a little bit farther if you can comfortably. Whew, I wasn't going very far today. Man, things are tight. Okay, so now we're going to do this as something new. It might be a little challenging for some of you, but we're going to do sort of like a self-traction through the spine. So we're going to bend all the way over if you can, as much as possible. So whether you're touching the ground, whether you want to rest on your ankles or your shins or your thighs, doesn't matter. But I want you to let your head hang heavy. So think about letting everything go. Relax your jaw, relax your neck, and really let gravity pull your head downwards. Now, if you can't do that, if that makes you dizzy, if you are just too inflexible, you can sit in a chair. And so sitting, you're still going to tip over and do the same sort of thing. So whichever version you want. Again, the most important thing is just that you relax, which is hard. So take big, deep breaths. Really think about letting gravity pull your head downwards. And once gravity starts to do its job, you should feel a nice pull through the spine, maybe even into the upper back. Again, relax the jaw, relax all the muscles in the neck and the back. Nice big deep breaths. And what you can do is you can turn your head side to side like you're saying no. You can nod up and down a little bit like you're saying yes. And just tiny little movements there can help you sort of wiggle out and relax those muscles. And don't worry about what your legs are doing. If your knees are bent a little bit, that's totally fine. Just relax the head and neck. Okay, now really nice and slow. We're going to slowly come up. Don't move too fast. Sometimes people can get a little dizzy, so slowly, little by little, come all the way up until you're straight. And take a few seconds to get your balance again. How did that feel for you guys?
Okay.
Did you feel a good pull?
Yes, in my mid back.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're really letting the head hang, you can feel it all the way from the neck into the back.
Yeah.
Really as far down as your tailbone if you let it pull that far, so that's great. Okay, laying on our sides. No equipment needed. So you can do whatever you want with the bottom arm. You can use it as a little pillow if you want. You can tuck it underneath yourself. Doesn't really matter. Legs are going to be bent in front of us. Your top arm is going to come straight out in front. And we're going to do a circle. We're going to trace that arm up and over. And then we're going to rotate as we finish that circle behind us. I need to move forward so I don't hit the wall. So we're coming all the way up and over, so we're tracing a semicircle. We're ending where we're totally straight out. Our arm is straight out to the side. And then we're going to come back up and over. We're sort of rolling onto our shoulder as well. So you should be getting a bit of a stretch in the shoulder and the chest, and also a twist through the upper back. Does that feel okay?
Yeah.
And again, don't rush through it. Feel free to listen to your body. Pause at any spot you feel you want to pause at.
So Lindsay, our heads to stay still or we can move our head?
So the hand should be tracing and sliding along the ground if you can reach the ground. If you can't reach the ground and it's just hovering above the ground, creating that semicircle, that's okay too.
She said head.
Our head.
Oh, your head. Yeah, your head should be relaxed, resting.
So, but you look behind you a little bit. You can look up. You roll.
Yeah.
We can roll, right?
Yep, exactly. You can be rolling slightly more onto your back as your arm comes behind you. What does everyone have planned for the rest of the day?
I have strawberries to plant.
Ooh, nice.
Wow. My planter arrived.
Great. Where are they going to go? Back in the corner or something?
Well, until now, well, it's a planter, like a plastic pot.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I showed you them stacking,
Mm-hmm.
but only one came. Apparently, I thought I ordered a stack. I ordered one.
Oh, well,
So
that's...
now I have more ordered, but I bought strawberries for the one that came.
Okay, that'd be nice.
Fill it and stack the others under it or on top of it.
Mm-hmm. You guys can go ahead and flip to the other side. How long will it take for you to have strawberries?
One plant has a couple on it already.
Oh,
Pick through.
that's nice.
So realistically, I need more than 3, but
Yeah.
they're coming from China, so they're taking a while. One should never order from Facebook or Twitter and think it's going to come in a hurry. Oh, this one's much tighter
Oh.
in the shoulder.
Like I said, if you can't reach the ground and if the hand is hovering, that's okay. If you have to roll more on this side than you did on the other side, that's okay too. As long as you're feeling a stretch somewhere.
Eventually the stack will go on the deck when I have a deck.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, if a little boy comes to visit you, you might not have any strawberries left on there.
Well, as long as If he's picking and eating them, that's okay.
I think he would be.
I mean, probably only one or two will be ripe at a time. So
Yeah.
all he'd have to do is bite into an unripe one once, a white one. Don't do that again.
Yeah. Okay, let's do a few more before we wrap this one up.
This side is very hard.
Everyone did their easy side first.
Loosening up though, I can at least reach the floor now behind me.
Good. Okay, and when you're done.
I really needed this class. After the last class was a sedentary one for the meditation. It's been a long time since we've stretched with you.
2 weeks.
I know.
I was feeling that way too. You know, I was sort of feeling like I need this. We're reliant on it, at least once a week.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna roll our hip flexors, so go ahead and grab your lacrosse ball or tennis ball, whatever you have. If you know how to do this one, go ahead and get started. You're gonna be laying on your stomach with the ball right underneath your hip bone. I like to tuck my toes under on that side and sort of rock up and down, side to side, or you can even just find a sweet spot and hold. If you're new to that exercise, I'm just gonna get up close and show you where I'm putting the ball. Ugh. So if you think of your hip bone right about there, you can be almost anywhere around that bone. And I know I normally say not to roll directly on the bone, but we're really close to it. We're right sort of underneath, even on the inside here, sort of anywhere that feels good in there. So this is one of the few times that you can sort of break the rules, and if you're sort of on that bone, I'm not all that concerned about it, but just anywhere in the front of the hip there. Again, play with it, do what feels good. You guys able to find a good spot there?
Uh-huh.
Good.
The little boy should be here. They're building our road past the end of our street.
Oh, that's fun.
All kinds of big machines.
He would love that.
You'd never get him home from the park watching.
No. Another thing you can play around with, you'll probably see me doing it, but I'm sort of turning my foot outwards and inwards, sort of rocking my hip side, or my heel, sorry, side to side. So feel free to play with that too, just turns the hip in a different direction. And don't forget to sort of explore, move to the inside of that hip bone. You can be above the hip bone. Never know what you're going to find if you explore around. Okay, let's spend another 30 seconds or so here, so finish up any spots that feel like they need a little more before we switch to the other side. So go ahead and switch when you're ready. Just move that lacrosse ball to the other side. That was a good one, hey?
Yeah. You don't think how sore it is until you get it released. And, you know, then when you go to the other side, it's like you're starting fresh. So.
Yeah. Okay, so finish off that side. And if you need 30 seconds or more, go ahead and do whatever it needs, and then we're going to stay on our stomachs and just do a quick activation exercise. So you can pull the lacrosse ball out and stash it to the side. We're going to be laying on our stomachs. The easier version of this exercise is just the legs moving. I'll show you a harder version in a minute that also involves the arm moving, but let's start with the easy one. All you're going to do is you're going to lift one leg so your thigh comes up off the ground. You should feel that squeeze the muscles through your low back. With control, you're going to lower down and switch to the other one. Lift the leg so the thigh comes off the ground. You're keeping your whole leg nice and straight. And back down. Again, if that feels easy peasy, you're going to bring your arms out and you're going to be lifting opposites. The opposite leg and the opposite arm. If you're doing the arm movements, just make sure you're looking down at your mat. You're tucking your chin down, you're looking straight down. You don't want to be arching your neck, straining your neck. So again, you should feel the muscles through your low back working. Nice and slow and controlled, no flopping. Okay, whichever leg you're on right now, I want you to hold. Hold it up off the ground and squeeze those muscles of the low back. Good, go ahead and lower. And the other one, lift and hold. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Lots of control. You got this. Take a big deep breath. And you can lower down. Good. How'd that feel?
One with sides is much easier than the other to hold up there.
Oh, interesting.
No, it was good.
Okay, go ahead and roll over onto your back. We're gonna switch gears from the bottom of the spine to the top of the spine. We're gonna do some chin tucks now. So laying on your back, knees bent, you're gonna think about tucking your chin downwards so that the back of your head sort of slides up, if that makes sense. A good visual is think about the space underneath your neck and think about just flattening it out slightly. You're not going to be able to get your neck to be flat on the ground, but you're moving towards the ground, making it slightly more flat. You're going to hold that tuck for a couple seconds, and then you're going to relax and let your chin go up to the ceiling. And you're just going to go back and forth. Remember that this one can be misleading. This one sometimes doesn't feel like much, and then if you go too intensely, you can get a headache later in the day. So please be gentle with this, even if it doesn't feel intense. The other thing you might be feeling is some muscles in the front of the neck underneath the chin working and activating. That's awesome. That's what we want. We just don't want the big muscles in the front of the neck to be clenching. So to avoid that, you just don't want to be lifting your head up off the ground. So it's more of a rotation rather than a lift. Hopefully that makes sense. feeling okay for you guys?
Yeah.
Good. You be careful with this one. No headaches later today.
Yeah, I backed off what I was doing when you said that.
Yeah.
So
You remember, this is the one that your body doesn't always agree with. Or one of them. Okay, let's do one more. Hopefully you're feeling a bit of a stretch down into the neck, or at least a bit of an activation in the front. Okay, we're going to come up to a seated position for a little bit. I finished those chin tucks and then my upper back was like pop, 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 pop. Always a good sign when you know you're loosening things up. Okay, so we've loosened the spine up in a bunch of different directions. Now we're going to loosen it up in sort of like a side bending way. So you can bring your arms across. What we're going to do is we're going to bring our ear towards one shoulder. And then we're going to continue the movement and bring your shoulder down towards the floor. So think of it like you're trying to make your spine into a C shape. It might not fully be a C shape, it might be a flattened out C, but you got my drift. And you should be feeling a nice stretch, likely through the neck, but what I'm hoping we can do is we can extend this stretch down into your upper back and even your lower back as well.
We are moving on the right side, our head. So we should move right side, right?
Yeah, so whichever direction your head is going, that same shoulder is dropping down. So I'm taking my head to the right, I'm dropping my right shoulder down towards the ground. You guys getting a bit of a stretch in the upper back as well?
Yeah.
Good. I find getting the neck portion of this stretch is easy, but it takes a little more thought and effort to get it to extend downwards a bit. Take some big full chest breaths, expanding your chest outwards. We're going to stay here just a little longer. As things start to loosen up, move a little farther, make your C shape a little tighter. Good, and now really slowly, we're going to come up out of it, no quick movements here. Good, and give yourself a little rest, a little whatever you need to do, make yourself feel good. And then we're going to do the other side, of course. So I like arms across. You don't have to have arms across if you don't want to, but take your head to the other side, feel how tight it feels, and drop that same shoulder down towards the ground. Just sort of notice how this stretch might feel different than it did on the other side. Maybe you're feeling it at a different spot. That's pretty common. Maybe you're feeling it more in the neck on one side, more in the back. On this side, I'm even getting it into my side.
Lindsay, I feel on the shoulder blades, okay?
Yep, that's good. That's great. Good. Take some big deep chest breaths. Almost combined the word chest and belly there, getting myself confused. Chest breaths. And then you can slowly come up out of that. Oh. Feeling good over there?
Yes.
Good.
Lots of good stretching.
Yeah. We're going to do one more. I think I have time for one more. Yeah. One more for the shoulder blades. So this is called like a thread the needle type stretch. We're going to be on all fours. If you've got sensitive knees, you're welcome to put a towel under your knees, but this one doesn't tend to be too bad for that. You're going to take one arm and it's going to come underneath you, slide under, and if you can, you're going to come all the way under and rest your shoulder and your head on the ground. So you've got a nice twist through your upper back. So your weight should be even between your knees and your shoulder and head, and you should be getting a really nice stretch in between the shoulder blades. Can you guys feel that?
Yep.
And again, feel free to listen to your body and switch this up if you feel you want to. You can sort of twist a little more, like you're looking up towards the ceiling underneath your underarm. You can sort of reach your arm outwards a little more. That can intensify the stretch. Or of course, if it's too intense, you can always back off.
Looking up is a little bit more hard.
Yeah, a bit tight.
Yeah, when I was trying to do that, no.
Yeah. So yeah, that's good. Just listen to your body. If that's too much, then make note of that. Maybe one day you'll work towards it. Good, and really slowly you can come up out of that, press yourself up, slide the arm back across, and come back into all fours. You guys can stay where you are. I'm just going to flip. We're going to take the other arm, of course. The other arm is going to slide underneath until you bring your shoulder and your head down to the ground and sort of settle into that good stretch. Good, let's intensify a little bit more if you can handle it. Reach the arm out a little bit, twist a little more, any way that you can. About 30 seconds more of this before we come out of it. So nice big deep breaths. Good, and nice and slowly with control you can lift yourself up, slide that arm back, come into all fours before you come out of it. Whew, hair today. How you guys feeling?
Much better.
Yeah, I feel loose. I feel like I needed that. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. Have a great day. I'll let you know what some class topics are. I'll post it on the Facebook page and we'll go from there.